Hey everyone. If you're watching this video, it looks like you're interested in my return to sports tool. So this is meant to help people kind of calculate their data. A lot of times, people have kind of like off brands of different devices that may not have a software, or they have to do some hand notes of calculation. So this is really a tool to help enhance your clinical practice and make all that a lot faster. So a few thousand people have downloaded version 9. So I released version 10, and this is it right here. It should have a lot of updates on technologies and norms that you'll like. So this video is meant to learn how to use it and then also go over all the new changes. So first of all, you can see the tabs have been cleaned up a bit. And this is just the general info tab on here. It can talk about what this sheet is used for, some tips on data collection, and then also here are all the references you might want because these are referenced throughout the sheet once you get to it. Next, you'll probably be familiar with this sheet if you've been using it. But in general, it looks really overwhelming, but it's pretty simple to use. So realistically, you're really only going to use segments of this depending on what you're doing. But here you could enter the patient data. So this is going to be their injury, their name, their weight, and then the date of injury or surgery. And then what you can do here is, let's say you see a shoulder person, you're really just going to maybe look at this for treating a patient with shoulder pain if you collect their info there. And you might enter anything in the white, and the gray will auto calculate on its own. So you can see here, it gives you limb symmetry index. Same thing. Let's say you have someone um, with a hip pain. So you'll treat them and maybe you want to get some measurements and you can take these measurements and it'll give you outputs here. Again, you can see moment arm, patient weight. Um, New to this is the 5-second squeeze test that also calculates torque. And it gives you that output there. And then same concept for the knee. Major changes with the knees, you can finally change this angle here. So if you look at these values, they will change based on whatever angle you set it to. Since I know a lot of people like to do 60 degrees for their quad measurements too. One thing to note is for the hamstrings, it's going to assume you're at 90 degrees for it. Then finally, there's ankle strength. So there's a spot for just handheld dynamometer data. And then there's also area for calf raise app if you're interested in using that as well. New to this edition is going to be force plate testing. So you can see the default metrics here. And notice in here that we're going to put asymmetries, not LSI here. So you're going to have 14% L indicating left side, and you can peak power here. Obviously, you're going to have a lot of other metrics you might want to look at for force plate testing, but this is really to get beginners started on their force plate journey, to start with the little stuff and they can kind of get down the rabbit hole if they're ready. For those using upper extremity or force plates for upper extremity testing, you can see here that the ASH test is probably the most popular, and you can input your input your data here, and it'll give you the LSI. It'll also give you the data in relation to body weight there. Um, I'll just fix that right before I publish this. In addition, you have a graph here. So notice this, if you took my course and we went over the ASH test, you'll know that we look for certain patterns. So this is just a quick graphical pattern there. So let's say you make this different. You could see that you'll get a quick visible pattern to help you make your decisions a little bit faster there, and so on. So it'll change based on what this data says there. And then we also included limb girth measurements. This is not white, but these two ones you can change. So you can put maybe prone, heel to butt. And for the involved leg, let's say it is 24 inches away. And then the uninvolved side is 8 inches away. Technically, that's doing great, right? So you'll have to play a little bit using a little bit of common sense on here. So for this one, we might want to say uh, for proper use, we might actually want to switch that. So we'll put the uninvolved side here, and then we'll put the involved side here to actually give it there. So it really depends on what metric you choose. For this particular one where smaller is better, you might have to switch the uninvolved and uninvolved side because ultimately LSI is all you're looking at anyways. For knee flexion, uh, greater is better, right? So we might put knee flexion 30 here, and then we'll put maybe 40, or we'll put 90 here. And you can see here that in this case for range of motion, we'll use it the proper way it's set up. So you kind of have to play around with it a little bit. Next is the patient-reported outcome measures. You could input that here, and then there's scores here. And then finally, let's again, this is a lot, right? Let's just say we're treating SpongeBob's elbow. So we're only going to fill this out, the shoulder. So the shoulder part, I would just maybe interpret the data by saying, let's see, um, I'll just put SpongeBob as excellent shoulder strength after his upper extremity procedure, namely just needs to work on strengthening rotator cuff and also is safe to continue upper extremity plyo progression. So again, I'm really just going to sum up whatever area I use. When you actually use a sheet, you'll only have one section filled out at a time, depending on what body region you're treating, not all of them. Finally, we have functional tests here. So if you just focus on this area for now, this is the functional test area. I changed it to additional tests because a lot of people might have not quite a functional test, but an additional test they want to do, right? So an example of this is you could see here, if I didn't include the metric you want on force plates for lower extremity here, you could just put it right here and put CMJ displacement, and then you can do it here and so on. But overall, it'll give you average LSI and peak LSI. You can write your notes here. Same thing, you're going to have to use some nuance and common sense when using these kind of things. But for the 505, technically, the involved side is actually going to get a longer time, but a lower time is better. So in this sense, for this test, I'm actually going to switch uninvolved and involved to give me a true measure of 88%. And then again, putting in notes here. Another thing you might see is that before you had to click norms and kind of look for it, and the norms weren't that great. Well, you can see here that all these norms were updated. So all you have to do here is click down, and because I'm treating the elbow and upper extremity, I'm going to click elbow. And then here, it's going to give me some norms from a few selected studies for strength measurements. You could also know that I changed it to percent body weight instead of peak torque to body weight, just because a lot of the handheld dynamometer studies give references to either pounds or percent body weight. So I want to make it easier for you to kind of transfer over. On the second half of the section, you're going to see some force plate data. So this is some selected metrics from the ASH test as well to help you make your decision there. So this is the main tab most people will be on, and you can use this one to kind of calculate everything you need for you to see it quickly. This is probably a few people's favorites, but this generate report tab here is going to take whatever info you took at each of these regions and then bring it over to a very patient-friendly report. So you can see here that it's currently on knee, but because I actually have elbow entered, I could actually just click elbow, and all the patient education is going to change to elbow-specific education, and all these metrics suddenly turn into elbow-relevant metrics as well. So you could see here, only 4 of the 5 functional tests you enter will be entered, but you can see here that all that transferred over, all your notes transferred over, patient report outcome, your name if you entered it, and then your summary here. You could also see that the force plate metrics are the eye and its ASH position. And then if again, this is dynamic. So let's say your next patient is a knee patient, a patient with knee pain. So let's say you go over to them, you fill out their data, and then you look at the knee. So again, this changes all to knee relevant metrics. And then you'll notice that here, even the force plate metrics had converted to the counter movement jump metrics there. So that'll all be dynamic there for you. One thing you'll notice too is, again, a lot of people complain about tabs and clicking back and forth. Well, here you could see that these are norms. So what is good and normal? And this is the same information you got from the data input, the same norms there. However, it's also ingrained on this tab. So if you pay attention to it right now, it's giving you quad, hamstring, and counter movement jump norms. But the second you turn to maybe the shoulder, it changes to the shoulder area here. So again, a lot less clicking. It should be a lot cleaner for you guys to use. And of course, there's always this sheet, which is patient-reported outcome measures. If you take it in and you want a quick calculation, if you're using a worksheet, or you can just do Ortho Toolkit and click this link. Visit the website for updated ones as well. But overall, that's the new revisions to it. So a lot more measurements that you can take, a lot more. We added force plates. Some of the normative strength was changed. The updates on the norms were redone, and then everything auto updates on the same tab. And a lot of people aren't very happy with some of the metrics I had. Like the people ask, oh, well, why did you include this one? Why didn't you include this one? Again, you can see the info. I always tell people I teach in black and white. So this is really made for beginners who have a hard time kind of grasping all of it and just want something simplified. So this is the black and white part. It really filters them and trickles them into doing things just to get started. And then once they get more advanced and start questioning my methods, then they can develop their kind of own methods there and develop their own worksheets there. But overall, I know it's not going to please everyone, but it's hopefully it's a useful tool for you for people who've used it. And if you have any questions, feel free to comment in the video below. You can email me at vienvu@gmail.com. A lot of my colleagues use this, so feel free to give me a text or call anytime, and I'm happy to help you guys out figuring out this worksheet. Hope you enjoy it and give it a download. Feedback is always appreciated. Thanks.